Hi everyone, this is the Nordic Venture Show, your guide to the exciting world of Nordic startups and venture capital. In today's episode, we're exploring a startup called Sensofusion.
All right, so we're diving deep today, and the target is pretty interesting, anti-drone systems. Specifically, we've got a whole bunch of info from a company called Sensofusion about their Airfence product line.
Right.
So think of this like, I guess, our crash course on what these systems are, how they work, and why they're kind of becoming so important in the whole security world these days.
Yeah, I mean, drones are everywhere now, right?
Oh, yeah.
For all sorts of, totally legitimate reasons. But that does open up some vulnerabilities, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So what Sensofusion has put together here gives us a really focused look at how they're tackling this unauthorized drone activity problem.
Yeah, it's wild, isn't it? Just how much we're using drones for everything now.
It is.
From checking out farm fields to a package delivery, the whole thing.
Oh, yeah.
But like Sensofusion points out, it's not all sunshine and roses.
Right.
There are some pretty serious safety and security concerns that come with it. I mean, we're talking about potential risks to, like, sensitive convoys, disruptions at big public events, even threats to critical infrastructure and VIPs.
Yeah, no kidding. The sources we looked at even had this example from the Israel Border Police.
Oh, yeah.
They said they intercepted over 70 drone attacks and actually ended up detaining the pilots.
Wow.
I mean, that's a pretty clear sign that this isn't just some hypothetical problem.
Right. It's happening.
Yeah, it's a real issue that needs real solutions.
For sure. And it makes you realize that it's not just about the drone tech itself. It's about who's controlling them and what they're trying to do.
Absolutely.
Which brings us to Airfence.
Yeah.
So Sensofusion describes this as a state-of-the-art passive drone detection and response system.
Okay.
So passive detection. What's the, basic idea behind that?
Well, think of it this way. Instead of, actively sending out signals to find the drones, like radar does,
Right.
a passive system, it mainly listens for the radio signals that drones give off when they're flying around.
I see.
And one advantage of doing it that way is it's more covert. It's less likely to mess with other communications in the area.
Makes sense.
The goal, as they explain it, is to figure out exactly where both the drone and its pilot are in real time.
Right.
And that knowing where the pilot is, that's crucial for a good response.
Makes total sense. Knowing where the pilot is gives you a much better shot at actually stopping the threat, not just the drone itself.
Exactly.
And it sounds like Airfence isn't exactly brand new either. The info says they've had government clients using it in Europe, North America, the Middle East, and Asia since 2016.
Wow.
I mean, that's a pretty solid track record.
It is. To have that kind of global reach being used by all those different governments,
Yeah.
that really says something about how well it works, especially when it comes to dealing with security concerns from drones.
For sure.
They also highlight how useful it is for protecting personnel and infrastructure,
Right.
which, like we said, those are the main targets for unauthorized drone activity.
Exactly. Now, for situations that are even more, I guess, high stakes, they have this military edition of Airfence,
Right.
and they say it's combat proven and comes with modern countermeasures.
Interesting.
So what do we think those countermeasures could be?
Well, they don't give us all the details.
To force.
But it's pretty safe to assume they're designed to basically stop the drone from working. That might mean interfering with the connection between the drone and whoever's controlling it, maybe by jamming the signals.
Right.
Some even more advanced methods might be able to force it to land.
Oh, wow.
Or even capture the drone safely.
Interesting.
And when they say combat proven, it means these methods have been tested and they work in real-world situations.
Yeah, no kidding. Okay, so Airfence is the overall system.
Right.
And then within that, they have a specific product lineup.
Right.
They mentioned three main ones, Airfence 7, Airfence Mini, and Airfence Max. So let's break those down a bit. Airfence 7, they call it a state-of-the-art passive drone detection system used by military and law enforcement worldwide. So that seems like their main system, the one that's being used everywhere.
Yeah.
What do you think makes it so popular with those organizations?
Well, they say it's used by military and law enforcement all over the world.
Right.
So that probably means it's pretty good at handling a wide range of threats and different operational needs.
Makes sense.
Plus, if it's being used that widely, it must be pretty reliable.
Right.
And easy to integrate with the security systems they already have.
For sure. Then there's Airfence Mini.
Yeah.
They describe it as a pocket-sized anti-drone device.
Oh, wow.
And the most portable Airfence solution.
Interesting.
So that's a pretty big difference from a system used by the military.
It is.
What kind of situations do you think a super portable system like that would be best for?
Well, I'm thinking situations where you need security right away in a very specific spot, like protecting someone important at a public event, maybe.
Right.
Or setting up a secure perimeter quickly for a police operation. Or even just being able to deploy it super fast in a situation that's unpredictable.
That makes sense. You wouldn't want to drag out some huge system for every little potential threat.
Exactly.
And then finally, we have Airfence Max.
Right.
They call it the most powerful hardware we built so far, combined with our advanced and battle-proven CUAS software.
Okay.
So this sounds like basically the top of the line, right?
Yeah, I think so.
What kind of advantages would that most powerful hardware give you?
Well, when they say most powerful, it probably means it can do things better than the other systems. Like it could detect drones from further away.
Right.
And it could probably keep track of more drones at the same time.
Makes sense.
It might even be able to handle more advanced types of drones.
Oh, interesting.
Or work in places where there's a lot of electromagnetic interference. And then, combined with their battle-proven CUAS software, it's basically the best solution they have for really high-risk situations.
Right. So it's like a tiered system, right?
Yeah.
Different levels of capability for different levels of threat.
Exactly.
Now, it seems like they can actually boost Airfence's core capabilities even more with add-ons.
Okay.
They specifically talk about this Kela directional finding antenna.
Right.
What's so special about that?
Well, they describe it as a high-gain antenna solution.
Okay.
That's designed to make drone detection even better, especially in environments that are tricky. The main thing about a high-gain antenna is that it's really sensitive to the signals that drones give off.
I see.
So it can pick up even weak signals from much farther away.
Oh, wow.
They say it can detect drones that are over 10 kilometers away.
10 kilometers? That's pretty impressive.
It is. That gives you a much bigger security perimeter and more time to react to a threat.
For sure. They also mentioned that you can integrate 3D radar and cameras with the system. So how do those extra sensors work with Airfence's passive detection methods?
Well, that's where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
You're basically creating a multi-layered defense. So passive detection is great at finding drones that are actively using radio links.
Right.
But adding 3D radar and cameras allows Airfence to spot drones that might be trying to fly under the radar, so to speak.
Ah, I see.
Radar can track anything that's moving in 3 dimensions.
Right.
And cameras can give you visual confirmation, identify the drone, and even track it.
So it's like a fail-safe?
Yeah, exactly. It makes the whole system more comprehensive and resilient, so it can handle a wider range of threats.
So by combining passive listening with active detection from the radar and visual confirmation from the cameras, Airfence can basically counter a whole bunch of different drone technologies and tactics.
Absolutely.
It's pretty smart, actually. Now, who's actually using this tech? We've mentioned military and law enforcement, but their materials give a more specific list.
They do.
So who are the main users?
Well, they say it's used by military organizations and law enforcement agencies, of course, but they also list specific groups like presidential guards, police forces, maritime security agencies, secret services, and even major event organizers.
Interesting.
It just shows how widespread this concern about unauthorized drones really is.
Yeah, no kidding.
It's impacting everything from national security to the safety of public events.
Absolutely. Now, it doesn't sound like you can just buy Airfence off the shelf.
Right.
They mentioned some important considerations for acquisition.
Yeah.
So what are the key takeaways for potential customers?
Well, first off, they say you need to pre-qualify to purchase Airfence.
Okay.
Which probably means they vet you to make sure you're a legit security or government organization.
Right.
And then they say you have to use an official email address for inquiries.
So it's not just anyone who can get their hands on this.
Definitely not.
They also have a pretty clear ethical guideline.
Yeah.
They say Sensofusion do not operate with organizations facing EU sanctions, which makes sense.
It shows they're committed to doing business the right way.
Absolutely.
They're following the rules.
Exactly.
All right, let's wrap up with some info about the company itself.
Okay.
They're based in Finland, and they have offices in Korea and Kuwait.
Right.
If you need to reach them, they have separate email addresses for sales and tech support.
Okay.
Also, I noticed the copyright on their stuff says 2025.
Oh, interesting.
And they've got the standard privacy and cookie policies on their website.
Makes sense.
They mentioned starting up in 2016, and they've been focused on Airfence ever since.
So they've been at it for a while.
Yeah, and they've got clients all over the world now.
That's impressive.
Okay, so to sum it all up, our deep dive into Sensofusion's Airfence shows us a really comprehensive suite of anti-drone technology.
Yeah.
It's primarily designed to detect and respond to unauthorized drones.
Right.
And it's aimed at military and law enforcement, with different product tiers for different needs.
Makes sense.
And while passive detection is the main method,
it can be made even more powerful by adding advanced antennas like the Kela,
right?
And 3D radar and camera systems.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's being used by all sorts of security-focused groups worldwide.
It is.
And if you want to buy it, you have to go through a pre-qualification process.
That's smart.
It's really interesting to think about how readily available drone technology is now.
It is.
And how that's changing things.
Yeah.
Airfence shows us that there are some serious security challenges that come with that.
Absolutely.
But also that there are solutions.
All right.
That makes you wonder, though.
What's that?
What's next?
Yeah.
Will drones keep getting more advanced?
Probably.
Will anti-drone systems have to keep up?
Oh, for sure.
It's definitely something to keep an eye on as drone tech becomes even more a part of our everyday lives.
It is. I think the future of security is going to be really interesting to watch as this all plays out.
Yeah, I agree. Thanks for diving deep with us today.
My pleasure.
We'll see you next time.
Sounds good.
Thanks for listening to the Nordic Venture Show. Don't forget to subscribe and stay tuned for more stories of innovation from the Nordics.